Hi, everyone. Thanks for dialing in. We'll give folks just another few seconds to get logged in and we'll get going. Okay, welcome, everyone. Welcome to this episode of our Quality Solutions series. Thank you for joining. My name is Angela Anderson, Product Marketing Manager for ETQ, and I'm joined today by my esteemed colleague, Eric Dano, Strategic Solutions Engineer. Today, we're diving into our training management application and the ways it can help your organization better support the pace of business change. Next. As always, we'll send a link to the recording to all registrants, and be sure to use that question box in the GoToWebinar panel to ask questions or share your thoughts during the presentation. And we're saving room for sure at the end for some Q&A. Next. To kick off, we'll set the stage by examining some of the training challenges organizations like yours may be facing. Like I mentioned, I'm joined by Eric Daniel, who will briefly orient you to the ETQ Reliance QMS platform, then walk you through the training management application, including that will include a live demonstration. After that, I'll be back to share some additional information on ETQ, and then we'll bring it home together with our live Q&A. Next. So I think we can all agree that employee training is essential to effective quality management. That's why you're all here. Next, Eric. Thank you. Every quality journey is different. However, many of our customers begin their quality journey with addressing document control and training management together. Next. And we see further reinforcement of training's role embedded in ISO 7 principles of quality management, notably where leadership has an opportunity to provide people with resources, training, and authority to act with accountability. And also, I might say a duty to engage people at all levels through recognition, empowerment, enhancement of competence. This language puts training then squarely in the middle of an organization's efforts to create and deliver more value and achieve quality objectives. Through the lens of risk-based thinking, leaving employee engagement through training or leaving out employee engagement through training is a huge risk. In a nutshell, I would say training is very important, and in fact, more important than ever. Next. LNS Research has published recent research on the challenges so many organizations face around worker shortages, growing skill gaps, loss of institutional experience and knowledge as our retirement age cohorts grow, and with engaging and empowering those frontline workers, especially as more and newer technology is incorporated into shop floor environments. These shifting conditions really make it tough to ensure that workforce competency and organizations' ability to uphold quality standards. In other words, these are key challenges to keep up with this pace of change. Next. From a training manager perspective, do these challenges sound familiar? That it's hard to capture that valuable institutional knowledge? Does it feel like it's a slow leak or a flood escaping perhaps with the worker shortages? Is it difficult to respond to changes in a timely way and make sure people have what they need to keep moving forward? Are your disconnected systems just creating unnecessary work? Are you faced with training status questions you can't easily answer? It's painful. It can be painful. Luckily, there's technology that can help you organize, automate, track, align your training with changing products, processes, and employee roles. Eric is on hot standby here to orient you to the ETQ Reliance platform and then demonstrate some of the ways our training management application can help you proactively go after your training objectives. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Eric for the demo.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Angela. And again, my thanks for everyone joining us today. So what we're going to start off with, as mentioned, is just an overview of the ETQ Reliance platform, and then go into kind of an overview of the training management application and then into a live demo. So to get started with, ETQ Reliance is a total solution, many applications to help all your quality, potentially health and safety, environmental needs. It's all on one agile platform, and its course is delivered, as most platforms are nowadays, in the cloud. So for any industry, a QMS is going to provide limitless power with cloud native technology. And what our ETQ Reliance platform is really providing is next generation capabilities. What that means, it's going to be more impactful, more empowering, and really future-proof. So as new technologies come out, it's very easy to add those technologies to the cloud instance. So there's no need to go out and get a new platform every couple of years. Now, ETQ Reliance is built on building blocks, or what I often call Lego pieces, meaning that every really application, the platform itself, is really utilizing these building blocks, and that is usability. So you need to make sure a system is going to be easily used by your employees, giving them the information that they need. Flexibility, meaning that it's very easy to collaborate from one process to another. For example, for today's purposes in training management, being able to very quickly go from an approved document to a training requirement and make sure your employees are aware of any changes to a work instruction or a procedure, for example. Invisibility, becoming very important in today's day and age, allowing you to see that advanced analytics, being able to infuse your quality information into that analytics so that you can make better business decisions. And of course, scalability, the ability to, again, as I mentioned on the previous slide, kind of next level the system at any time using those new technologies. So scalable, not only in the technology side, but also on the platform level. As new processes are developed and released, those become available within the platform. So ETQ Reliance itself, NXG, is our platform. And on that platform, we have a total solution, a total flexible platform, as it says here, that includes all these potential processes, of course. We're focusing on training management today. That is part of our core application offering, as is document control, and the others in the purple are all part of that default platform. And then you can expand into other processes as needed. Now, in addition to the platform, the quality system itself, we have all the items along the bottom that are universal throughout the entire platform. The ability to integrate to different systems, the ability to configure your own processes within the platform, reporting, controlling access for your employees, audit trail functionality if that's something that you need within your organization, security, and of course mobile access. As today's day and age, mobile devices are becoming more prevalent in day-to-day operations. And again, all delivered in the cloud and all coming with advanced analytics. So in addition to the building blocks, there's 6 powerful genetics. And again, these go across the platform. So we're talking about training management, but this goes into all the different processes that you're going to manage within a system like ours. The first of those, adaptability, the ability to provide unlimited flexibility, make your own applications, modify the existing ones, using drag and drop codeless design capabilities with the ability, if necessary, to do advanced scripting. connectivity, and not necessarily connectivity to outside resources, but connectivity to processes within the platform. Of course, integration is the next thing, so that is part of the genetics as well. But this is talking about being able to, as I mentioned before, go from an approved control document to launching training requirements, training assignments automatically, going from a audit, launching a corrective action. Connectivity between those processes, being able to link those processes together, inherit data from one to another without having to reduplicate, copy, paste, whatever the example might be. And of course, integration, kind of already mentioned that is part of our kind of platform offering, allowing you to utilize standard integration technologies, web services, to be able to push-pull information from our system to other business systems. Talking about training management, perhaps you use an LMS system for your training requirements. You can still push the completion information into Reliance so you have all that information in one place. Contextual awareness, very important to ensure that based off of a person's location, role, department, whatever kind of filtering that you need to set up, that employee only has access to the information that they need and nothing else. So being able to kind of segregate that data in a single platform so that an employee from location A sees his or her records, but an employee from location B only sees location B's records. So the ability to have almost segregated separate systems, but only using a single platform to do so. External collaboration could certainly be part of a training management story. Perhaps you need to train suppliers on a new purchasing process that you've released and is available in document control. Well, through external collaboration, you can provide those external parties access to complete that training right within the system. So external collaboration allows you to pull them into a process without requiring, separate licenses for them and things like that. So involved in the process, being able to track their training as well. And anywhere access, mentioned this before, mobile being kind of a big player nowadays. So perhaps taking a training test on a tablet, performing an audit on a tablet with or without data connectivity becomes very important for the day and age that we're in today. So that's the ETQ Reliance platform. Of course, there's a lot more to our platform than just what I've explained in a few moments here. But what we'll look at now is the training application overview itself. So we're going to get into kind of how things work at a high level, go through kind of the process flows, and then we'll get into a live demo where I'll go into some of the key functionality that we want to make sure everyone understands that our system is able to perform. So first of all, the training management has connectivity throughout the entire ETQ Reliance platform. I've mentioned document control a few times already, but it certainly ties into other processes as well. So items like change management, based off of a change, a specification change, a process change, an engineering change, you might also be required to update control documentation. Those processes, again, are tied to one another, and based off of that work instruction or that specification document being updated in document control, you can release training requirements off of that update. Similar to a planned deviation. So if a planned deviation is affecting a approved document, you can mark such on that approved document. So as an employee goes in to review a work instruction, it'll show them that there's an active deviation on that work instruction and give them visibility into the changes that are required. Audits management also kind of plays into this. So perhaps based off of an audit finding, where we had a non-compliance, you go through an initial investigation in a quality event, determine that in that investigation process that there is the need to launch a formal corrective action. And part of that corrective action implementation might be retraining the employees on a process, or perhaps updating a control document and then retraining employees on that new updated revision. And also there's connectivity outside of the system as well. So not necessarily the training management in this slide, but certainly document control can integrate with things like Office files and Adobe PDF conversion of control documents once they're approved, and even Google integration to Google Docs as well. All this is really aimed to ensure employee competency, so employees are aware of what they need to do for their day-to-day job operation. So now we'll take a look at kind of the process flow, and there is a lot on this slide. We're going to kind of break it down in a few moments here, but there is some setup, of course, with the application where you define who can do what in the application, and more importantly, who can see what. So employees would have access to their records, which we'll see in the system. Employee supervisors would have access to all of their reports, and you can break down who has access to what. Employee profiles can be created for every employee within your organization, whether or not they have access to the system. So that's very important, because you might have temporary employees or seasonal employees that you need to make sure that they're trained, and you need to certainly make sure that you have training records of their completion of that training. So you have the ability to set up employee profiles for anyone and everyone that is trained within your organization. And then there's the ability to create course profiles. Now, once those course profiles are created, you can go through, and let me actually back that up. You can create assignments. You can create an online completion kind of format, which is really what I refer to as self-certification. So you get a notification from the system where you can come in, review the control document, review the training material yourself, and say, yes, I've completed that training, a self-acknowledgement. There is also the ability to set up a test, and that test can be true, false, multiple choice, yes, no types of questions, responses. And same scenario, the employee goes through the process of training themselves on that topic. Once they're ready to do so, they can go ahead and take a test, and then go through the actual, and we'll get to the completion portion in a moment. There's also the ability to create instructor-led assignments. So that might be courses on the job, so on the production floor, might be classroom training, whatever the case may be. So you can set up those course profiles, and when you need to actually schedule one of those courses that is going to be held, you can go ahead and schedule that and deliver that training. The scheduled courses can also be test-based. They can be a attendance-based, so we take an attendance sheet, we attach that to the completion, or it can be a pass-fail, which essentially means that the employee, or excuse me, the instructor is the one that's going to go through and indicate who passed and who failed based off of whether they took part in the training. Now getting to the completion, once you go through the process of self-training, you acknowledge that you've completed that, that's going to update your training record. If it's a test scenario, and that could be a test scenario in the instructor-led or in the online self-certification training format, you have several different avenues that can be taken, or not avenues, but several different outcomes, I guess is the right word. So you take the test and your result is a fail. You didn't answer the number of correct responses to get 50%, 70%, whatever threshold is put in for that particular test. The system can be set up to actually enforce a number of different things. How many attempts that an employee can take on a test, and how long they need to wait before they retake that test. So perhaps you give them 3 attempts, but they need to wait 5 days in between taking that test. On the second go around, perhaps they pass, and then it updates their training record. Or maybe they get to the third go around and they failed each time. Well, as the individual employee, I can actually review my previous tests. I can see exactly which answers I got wrong or which questions I got wrong. And that could be used as kind of a training avenue for that individual employee to take. Or you might decide to have one-on-one training completed. So whether the employee passes on their own, requires that one-on-one training, eventually a training record will be updated in the system and be visible to the training administrators. Now in the instructor-led scenario, of course, the online training, or excuse me, the test taking follows kind of the same avenue. So you go through the process, you pass the test, it updates your training record. Attendance-based is, again, the instructor is taking attendance. They might attach a sign-in sheet to the classroom and then basically indicate these are the people that attended, these are the people that thus pass. And again, the pass-fail is determined by the instructor. So they are going to be paying attention. They're going to make sure employees are kind of participating, there's active discussions going on, things like that. So they can indicate through a checkbox, essentially, who passes and who fails by those employees that were enrolled and those employees that actually attended. So all this is kind of leading up to being able to ensure that you have visibility into completion of training. You can ensure that employees are trained for their job position, and your employees can easily and effectively actually take and complete the training requirements. So now we're going to get into a live demo. The live demo, we're not going to spend a whole lot of time going through the entire application. We're going to touch upon the key points, and those key points are going to be broken down into kind of two different views. First, we're going to take a look at the employee view. That employee view is going to be, I'm assigned to something, I'm going to go in and complete that assignment. I have a test, I'm going to view that test, I'm going to go through and answer the questions right, things like that. And then we're going to take a look at the administrator side, meaning the training administrator, on how the administrator can have visibility into what control documents have trainings assigned to them, what the current status of the employees that needed to train on that assignment are. So we're going to go through those individually. We're, again, first going to take a look at kind of the employee view, individual stakeholder view, if you will. So we're going to switch over to my initial screen here, and I'm just going to refresh to make sure I'm still logged in. It looks like I am. Excellent. So from an individual kind of contributor point of view, this is what I could potentially see as I log into the system. So the system is showing me that I have a couple of training assignments that I need to complete. I can open up that assignment window and see those are the two assignments. It's both on the same topic, and I'll show you the benefit of this in a few moments, but I can also go into document control, and this is a neat feature that allows me to see, perhaps I'm reviewing this management of control documents management of control documents control document in the document control application. And as I go into that, so I'm reviewing it, I make sure I'm up to date on the information. If I go to the training section, it's actually going to show me right here what my current status is. So in this case, I have two assignments. So if I don't see that on the portal, I'm going to see that right on the control document itself. So it's going to give me that visibility into the fact that, hey, I need to complete an assignment on this. And the system sends out email notifications, reminders of training being required to be completed at a certain date, certain time, things like that. But this gives me that visibility if I happen to be reviewing this control document that I need to complete training on that. Now, as I go back, I'm actually going to go back to the home page here, and we're going to go through the kind of the process of completing the assignment. So as I said, both of these training assignments that I have assigned to me or to this user currently are both on the same topic. Now, the idea here is that you can set up multiple training assignments on a single revision of control document. The idea being that you might want to have employees kind of go through a self-certification, self-training process, but then follow that up with an actual live on-the-job training. So you have that flexibility to set up multiple assignments on individual control document, and that's more for the administrator point of view. So we'll take a look at that in a few moments. So as I go into a training assignment, I'll have visibility into the information that I need to review as part of that training assignment. I'll also have visibility into when that training assignment is actually due. So right as I go into the assignment, I see this is due tomorrow. So I need to make sure I complete this as soon as possible. I can also, as the individual employee, notice right away that this is an online training. So this is a self-paced training. As I scroll down, I have access to the source material. So this automatically links to the control document, so I can review that control document, but it also provides me a link back to the full record within document control. If there was any course material added to this as well, so above and beyond the control document, a PowerPoint, a video, anything like that, this would be visible to me at this point as well. So the process would be I'd come into the assignment, I'd go through, make sure I review all the material that's provided to me. And once I feel that I've completed that training, I simply scroll down to the bottom of the screen and I click that I acknowledge that I've completed that training. Now, right away, that's going to do a few things. It's going to now mark that I completed that today. So automatically it's going to show me that. It is going to create a certificate for completion of that training automatically. And if I go back to my homepage, refresh the screen, of course, it's going to remove that training as something that I've already completed. If I go back to the control document, I still have visibility into the assignments. I've completed the first step, which was the self-certification. I still need to complete the on-the-job or classroom training. So I click on that assignment. I have visibility into the scheduled course. And right now, so same kind of initial view, this is set up again for that more instructor-led type of training. So I have all the same information available to me, but I also see that the course has been scheduled. And in fact, I've already attended the course. It's now assigned to the testing phase. So I click on that, and now I have visibility into the course schedule. And this is essentially, this is where I would go in at the completion of the actual classroom or instructor training to go through the test process. So I, again, have access to the same material. This was a pass-fail. I've already gotten 100% on that. So I have access to that information. So it's assigned to testing. And ready to go for me. So those were two scenarios. If I go back into the document control application, actually I want to go back to my home page, excuse me. So there might be other training that I need to actually complete. So there's a sterilization procedure that I've also have linked here. And again, the benefit here is I have visibility into this approved document. Now, this one I completed already. And this is important because we're going to go into the administrator point of view and see that a new revision is being released, and that new revision is automatically going to create a new training assignment for that new revision if I notate that training is required. So from an employee point of view, I have visibility into information. I have visibility into completion information. If I go in and take a look at my employee views, I can take a look at all my active training records. I can take a look at any upcoming courses that I need to complete. So I have quite a few in this example. I also have visibility into the course schedule, so I can see which ones are assigned to the testing step of the workflow process. So I have visibility into all of that information to view the data as I need to. So now what we'll do is I'm going to switch over to my other screen. And my other screen has logged me off, so I'll just log back in quickly. So again, this is going to be the viewpoint of an administrator. The idea here is that, of course, making it easy for employees to complete training is important. You need to make sure that at the very least they've clicked a button that says they've read and understood that new work instruction or that new procedure. But now we need to make sure that the system is also easy to use by the training administrator themselves. So again, we're going to take a look at a few things in this kind of view. Again, training administrator, training manager, whatever the example might be. I'm going to focus on these favorited documents here. So one of them is that management of controlled documents that Bob, the other user, actually completed the training on. And the idea here is that the owner of this document has visibility into the course profile links. So I know that I've set up training on this document. We're already kind of approved this document and everyone is currently going through the process of training. As you can see, we have built-in kind of help text right within the form itself to make it clear exactly what buttons do and what information is being presented on the screen. So if I needed to set up another training, maybe an advanced training for the management of controlled documents, I can do that right from here. I can click on the setup training. If I need visibility into who's completed the training on this, I can click on the document training records and be brought to a view that shows me the status, the current status of the training on this particular document. So I can view this in several different ways. I can just look at those that still have it pending, those that have it completed, whatever way I need to slice and dice this data. The important thing here is it gives you quick access to view who has been trained on that particular procedure. So I don't have to go to an Excel file, I don't have to look at training records, whatever the example might be, I have complete visibility into that through a click of a button and then perhaps some filtering to only show me completed versus pending, things like that. If we go back again to the portal, the homepage, I also have access to that sterilization procedure. And I wanted to focus on this because I've started a change request on this document, and we see that clearly up at the top of the screen. If I go to the training section, actually, I first want to switch to the next revision. So if I go to the training section on the next revision, there is the ability to set up new training on this course, or as the text says, if this document is a new revision, it'll copy over all the information from the previous revision automatically. And once this document reaches the awaiting release step, it'll automatically create that new course profile for us and allow you quick, efficient setup of that new training course, whether it be on online training or whether that be instructor-led training. Again, I can click on that course profile link if I wanted to. I can see the course profile, and I want to spend a little bit of time on this as well because this gives you visibility into what you can set up as you're creating these course profiles. So I can specify with that checkbox in the source material that I want to automate with the next revision. And again, there's text right across from that that tells me exactly what that means. So it's going to automate with the next revision a new course profile when the source document is revised using that change request process. And that's document control. But the important thing is here, you don't have to go through that creating a course profile on every revision that requires training. The system can be set up to do that for you. I also have the ability here to identify any of that additional course material. So if there's again, a PowerPoint, an external URL where a video might be pointing to that URL so the employees understand the sterilization procedure, you'll have visibility into that information as the course is being delivered. The course delivery section allows you to specify what type of course that you want to deliver. And again, text is built throughout the form here to help you understand exactly, if I select this, this is what that means. If I need to put in a delay, this is what that means. So it gives me visibility into, based off of what I click, this is what that means to the end user. So in this particular example, we've set this up for online, but I can change that. I can quickly switch that to instructor-led, and then I can indicate the evaluation method that we want to specify for this particular course delivery. There's also new kind of functionality that we've recently added that allows me to specify the due date delay, meaning that the due date is going to be the assignment creation date plus the time that we put in here. So if the assignment for training is created today, the employee has 5 days to actually complete that training. If I decide that we're going to do a test, I can click the pass fail. I can go up to the test builder section, and now I can start specifying the test information. That includes a minimum passing score, what the test format is. So are we going to give the employees a fixed set of questions every time? Or you might decide that there's 5 questions for each occurrence of a test, but you actually have 20 or 30 questions defined within the test form here. And what it'll do if you select random is it will give them different questions each time they retake the test. So if I fail the first 2 go-arounds, for example, it's going to give me a different set of questions every time. I can go in and I can specify the questions, what the correct answers are as I put in those choices, and there's also a validation. So if for some reason you forget to click correct next to one of the answers, it's going to tell you that you forgot to click on that. So the ability to create the courses in whatever delivery method that you need or want to, and again, you can have online training and instructor-led training for the same topic set up within the platform, allows you to set parameters as to what type of time frame that the employees need to complete the training by, how they're going to complete the training. Are we going to take a simple attendance? Are we going to have them go through a test process? That's all set up within the course profile. Now, if you are performing an instructor-led course, and let me switch over to my course schedules, or course catalog, excuse me, I go into the active. This is where I can actually set up an occurrence of one of these courses. So we might have a standard kind of delivery for a particular type of course. Happens every month, every 2 months, whatever the example might be. This is where I can go into the course catalog, find the course that I want to deliver, and then go to the course schedule and simply click a button to create a new occurrence of this course. So I can define the start date, I can define the end date. A lot of information fills in automatically based off of the course profile that we created the schedule from. So I don't need to reduplicate any information. And I can specify the trainer, whether that be internal or external. The evaluation method is grayed out. We can define a maximum number of attendees if you needed to. And of course, any course material will come over as well. So as we go through that process, we deliver the course, and then we eventually would assign that to testing as we've set that up as a test scenario for that particular type of course. If I go back to the course profile, we see that I have access to that course schedule that we looked at when we're signed in as the individual stakeholder. So I have visibility into all the information on that particular course. I can go to the participants table, attach the training evidence, sign-in sheet, whatever that example might be. I can see Bob still has this training assignment pending. I can click on that. Bob is still logged into that record, so I can't really change anything here, but it gives me the ability to go into that information very quickly. Now notice this is where the employee can go in and have visibility into what they responded last time they took a test. So I can go into that question, that test that I failed last time. I can see which questions I got correct and which questions I got wrong. And it gives me that visibility. The reason I couldn't see this before is I logged into the other user, is there's a 5-day delay. I have unlimited attempts to retake the training, and it's telling me that I have to wait until November 21st at 11:13 before I can retake that training assignment. In addition, we have many different reports and views set up within the application to allow me to see what's going on as far as training assignments are completed. So there's a view called progress commentary that I can type in a particular user and see what that particular user has still to complete within the system. So if I type in my name, for example, I see I don't have any training, but if I type in Bob's name, Bob has 3 training records. 2 of them are completed, 1 of them is pending. So it allows me very quickly to see my employees' training kind of commentary, where they are in the process. I can also view that information very quickly if I go into the employee's profile list within the application, and I can go to manage assignments and I can see employee training records from here. And maybe I need to assign something new to Bob. I can go here very quickly, find a new assignment, find a new training topic that I want to assign to Bob, and have that scheduled out to him very quickly. So a lot of visibility, a lot more flexibility into how I deliver things, and access to information has been certainly improved in our latest release here. So again, we focused on kind of 2 viewpoints. One of those viewpoints being from the employee completing training point of view, how I can very quickly complete a self-training, how I can go into an instructor-led training and see the progress on that, see that it was assigned to testing, but I have to actually I have to wait until the 21st before I can retake that training. So I have complete visibility into what's going on from my individual training point of view. From the administrator point of view, the training administrator, I have the ability to create training assignments right from control documents. I could also create training assignments right from in the training management application by simply clicking on course profile and adding all the information as to what type of course it is, what's covering, things like that. And I have visibility into training statuses. We'll see as we talk about one of our use cases or customers that have really taken the idea of training and supercharged it, in my opinion, and we'll get to that in a few moments. But it not only allows more automation for the training administrators to ensure that employees are trained, but it also provides that visibility into who is trained, who is not trained within the organization. So with that, I'm going to jump back over to our PowerPoint slide, and we'll start taking a look at the overview and case study that I just mentioned.
Thank you so much, Eric. What a great deep dive into all the nooks and crannies of training management. There's so many interconnected workflows that need to happen, and it's a great demonstration of how it all works together, and from both an administrator view and end user view. All right, so before we do jump into that Q&A, just wanted to take a few seconds to share a little more about ETQ. And I'll move quickly because I want to make sure we have time for the questions. So quality, it isn't limited to your factory floor or even the activities inside your office walls. Quality and compliance issues can crop up across all phases of the product lifecycle, including design, in your supply chain, and shipping and logistics, and perhaps most troubling, through customer feedback. Next. ETQ's Thank you, Eric. ETQ's comprehensive application portfolio and unmatched flexibility lets you get started with the basics or whatever the more painful bits are for you to tackle first, and then expand and connect over time. And we're kind of coming full circle here. Many of our customers do begin with addressing core quality processes such as the dot control and training. The next stage for you could be to accelerate those results of some early wins by integrating with other enterprise systems like your ERP or CRM. You can expand the impact of the QMS into supply chain quality and areas like safety. With ETQ, you can truly transform your business and harmonize processes across multiple locations. And we would love to work with you on that. We can help you build a business case for whatever stage you're in. We have a very comprehensive ROI calculator. We can help you clearly quantify the impacts for all your stakeholders. Next. We do serve a broad range of customers across many segments, from discrete or process manufacturing, food and beverage, med device, electronics. All the logos you see here and many more represent a broad collection of experience and best practices that we bring into the platform. What this means for you is it allows you to take advantage of the learnings gleaned from each of these industries and verticals, and really helps all of us advance our practice of quality management. Next. And as Eric alluded to, an exciting example of this advancing the practice of quality management is our longtime customer Celestica. So Celestica is, if you're not familiar, they are a $7 billion contract electronics manufacturer, among other things, with 25,000 employees across 14 countries. They serve many industries such as medical, aerospace and defense, green tech. In the early days of their ETQ journey, they identified a need to better verify a person's qualification for a new or changing role. And given the size of the employee base, this was a monumental administrative task. And so over time, once they had that in place, over time they built on top of this group management automation, I'll call it, by expanding it to support an MES integration with training management. So basically what that means is any new task initiation within their MES dynamically checks the user's qualifications in ETQ. And if that worker has not received the required training, they're blocked from proceeding and kind of alerted to take whatever next step is presented. So this check helps them maintain consistent processes and safety on the factory floor by ensuring the right person is doing the right job with the right competencies. As well, they have traceability for audits and other demonstrations of security associated with customer requirements. And overall, they really became more proactive about training. The impact is pretty real if an employee hasn't kept up on training and they can't perform their duties. So thinking back to the 6 genetics that Eric talked about, Celestica is a shining example of making excellent use of the integration aspect, so integrating with the MES system, and that contextual awareness between the apps within Reliance. So let's see next, Eric. Okay, we made it. All right, so Q&A, everyone's favorite part of a webinar. So Eric, you still with me?
Of course.
Okay, so we did have a few come in here. Let me take a look. And if you want to actually just advance to the next slide real quick. Yep. Let's see, let me pull up a little window here. So we have a question from Catherine. Do you need to be a user on the QMS? Basically the question is, do you need to be a user on the QMS to track training? So could there be a profile for a non-user? How does that work?
Yeah, that's a great question. So you do not need to have employees necessarily access the system in order to track their training. So with our license model, you can have all your employees as users on the system, but not provide them a login credential. So that allows your training administrators to track training completion and not require you to have an ungodly amount of licenses to cover that. So great questions, great question. You do not need to have employees access the system in order to track their training within the platform.
Cool. Let's see, the next question. How do employees know they have training?
So there's several different ways. So the primary way, if an employee does have access to the platform, they're going to get an email notification to tell them that they have training assigned to them. So with that notification, that'll provide them access directly to the assignment. They click on that, they log in, single sign-in will log them in automatically for utilizing that, and they can go about completing that training, whichever methodology that is. The other ways that you can see that you have training, I showed if I happen to be on a control document, I go to the training section, I can see that right there. And I can also have visibility into that on my homepage. So as I sign in, it'll show me any training assignments that I have, and I can very quickly access those from the homepage as well.
Great, thank you, Eric.
Mhm.
Another quick one from Catherine. What version of Reliance were you demonstrating?
So this is Reliance NXG was the version that we were demonstrating. The new version of our training management application, which is what we were taking a look at there, is available also on CG, and that's 2020B, I believe, is the version that's available on as well.
Okay. All right, thank you. Just kind of skimming through here. They're coming in kind of quickly. um,
I did see
do
one
you,
on expiring training. That I can answer, and
great,
I forget
yes.
who asked that, so I apologize.
Yeah, I think
So
that was Catherine again.
Catherine, yeah,
Catherine, you've
okay,
got lots of questions. That's awesome.
Catherine's popular. Yeah, so you can set up on the course profile if a training expires. So you don't have to rely on a new revision coming out of a control document, for example. You can check a box saying that this expires, and you can set the time frame that it expires. So it might be something that expires every month that you want to ensure that employees retrain every on a monthly basis, quarterly basis, yearly basis, whatever time frame that you want to set up for that. So that can be individually selected on a particular course. So some things you might not require retraining on or expiration on. Some things you might. So that can be individually applied to any course and ensure that employees are retraining when that expires. And just like the notification I get when I am assigned to something, I'll get a notification from the system when a training completion has expired to let me know that, hey, I need to go back into the system and re-up on that training or attend a new course to ensure that I'm up to date on the latest and greatest for that particular topic.
Okay. Um, let's see. I think you kind of already answered that.
I got one here.
I'm not yeah, okay, go
From
ahead. Yeah.
Jennifer that I can answer. The question was, is it possible to release the document prior to completion of training? Yes, it is possible. Our control document workflow has, after the approval of the document, has two steps. It has an awaiting release step and then a completed or released step. So you can release the document before training is completed, and employees would still be able to go in and actually complete that training. Or you might say that, hey, on this particular document, we need to ensure that everyone is trained before it's released. So you can really have it both ways.
Okay. We did have, there was a couple of questions around employee training to training management, and probably best to follow up with you guys individually on those types of questions. High level, we are working on migration plans, so more to come on that shift for you. So stay tuned, and we'll follow up on those questions that appeared here. Let's see. For instructor-led course, does each attendee go into ETQ and record that they attended, or does the instructor do the recording?
Great question. So the instructor is going to be the one to specify whether or not a person attended. So the employee wouldn't be able to go in and say, hey, I attended, and not actually show up. So that's the reason we do that, to ensure that the instructor either takes that sign-in sheet and then goes in and digitally indicates who attended, or a combination of attaching that and indicating that. So the other way, there's no way to verify that an employee actually was in attendance if they're able to go in and say, hey, I attended.
Great. All right, so just looking at the time here. So maybe one more. I think this might be a feature request, but we'll see, because I'm not sure. Can time-based recurring courses be created? They're currently using an expiration date to trigger semi-annual, annual recurring training. Anything to elaborate on there, Eric?
Yeah, I mean, right now, expiration date is the way we would ensure that, on a yearly basis, for example, everyone goes through, like we do here at ETQ, sexual harassment training, that sort of thing. So the way we would track that or set that up is through the expiration date. So everyone might complete it at the same date and time, and you might have the requirement to retrain come out at the same date and time, but expiration date right now is the only way to kind of initiate that retraining requirement on annual training topics.
Gotcha. Okay, so maybe some feedback to bring back to the product team.
Yeah.
Okay. Any others there, Eric, that you think you might have time to answer? If not,
Probably. Yeah, probably not.
all right, if there were any questions that we did not address, like I said, we will follow up with you one-on-one afterwards. I want to thank you all for attending today. On the screen, as you've seen, there's some additional resources out on our website, and mark your calendar for next month, December 15th, our next quality solutions webinar, establish a closed loop process for quality improvement, and we look forward to seeing you there. Thank you so much.